Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where I talk about critical issues in the blindness community. I'm Aaron Richmond. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. And by the way, the first thing I want to say is I would like to take this time to wish you all a very safe and happy Halloween 2020. All right? Second, this episode of Aaron's Opinion is copywritten by Aaron Richmond and Aaron's Opinion. Thank you. This episode can be heard almost anywhere you get a podcast, along with YouTube. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and even we're on Patreon. All right, welcome back, everybody. Do you guys remember a couple months back, I had a really good conversation, a great video, great episode of the podcast. I'm just racking my memory here. I believe it was called God Made You This Way. We were speaking with Chime, as in Wayne. Well, as a matter of fact, we're very honored and very pleased to be joined this evening by Mrs. Chime. Jessica joins us now. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Aaron's Opinion.
Good, thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, guys, Jessica is, me and Wayne are blind. As it turns out, as ironically as it turns out, Jessica is sighted, but that's fine. We welcome sighted people are welcome here anywhere on this podcast. And even though she's sighted, she was just telling me that she has some challenges and some issues that she has had to successfully overcome in her life. And she would like to use this video, this channel, to maybe educate you guys about her life and the things that she does and the challenges she has overcome. So why didn't you just basically start wherever you want to start, and I'll ask questions along the way. I'm sure it'll be a really great conversation. Go for it.
I was born March 21st, 1987. I was born with something that's called a TBI due to damage from something they call meconium aspiration, which called oxygen deprivation. I was almost dead at birth. They had to perform emergency cesarean, which caused a bunch of different learning disabilities known as Asperger's syndrome, also on the autism scale. And that challenges come with, it's harder for me to understand things. I have to read things 3, 4, sometimes 5 times over before I really understand the gist of it. Being in huge box stores is very hard for me because the noise level, because people with Asperger's, our hearing is extreme. It's almost like a dog's hearing. Our hearing is very, what's the right word? Expanded. It's, so everything sounds 10 times as loud to us as more than normal people do. And it causes, some anxiety, and I've also been dealing with seizures on and off throughout my life. So that comes with its challenges as well, which adds to more damage. I also have asthma and early stage of COPD, like my father, which makes it even harder. So every day, just getting out of bed, because going to bed at night is very hard to breathe and waking up first thing in the morning, and on a lot of medication for not only the lung problems, but the different types of arthritis. I was on anxiety meds for years, but I finally got off of those end of last year before we moved over to the house we're currently in. So, like I said, the learning difficulties, the noise sensitivity, the just not sounding my age to a lot of people kind of makes people think that I'm not as smart as I am. No, I'm not saying I'm an overly smart person. I'm not by any means. It's harder for me to understand things, and I do get anxious a lot, and, I use different things, coping skills for that. And having our dog has been one of the biggest helps for both of us. And, like I said, the arthritis pain and stuff, and dealing with all, the family trauma that I've had to go through, my parents getting divorced, my dad getting remarried. There's just been a whole jumble mix of mess in my life. And, I've made some bad choices in the past. I've gotten in friendships with a lot of negative drama people as you might want to call them. And I had to be saved by my family out of a couple of those friendships. Thank God one of them that I was in a bad friendship with, her and I are on good speaking terms now and are friends, so that ended up working out. But yeah, I mean, that's, I said it, Asperger's makes you do things that you don't normally think about because we don't have learning capacity that most quote unquote people would, you know.
Well, I mean, the first thing that I want you to know is that I'm really impressed that you're on this episode, and know that the Aaron's Opinion podcast is a podcast where I talk about critical issues in the blindness community. And if I'm not talking about critical issues in the blindness community, I can promise you that my WhatsApp group is a really kind place. It's a place where we all support each other, where you can talk to everybody in the group, and you'll always have a great and a normal and a healthy conversation in my WhatsApp group, to which you will be added to after this podcast. So know that. Know that also, I have also had many different types of health problems throughout my life. As Chime may or may not have mentioned, I was born blind, and I was born with glaucoma. Specifically, since we're talking so much about health, I was born with a syndrome then known as Peters anomaly syndrome, now known as Kabuki's. By the way, I'm 29 years old, born in 91. Um, and in addition to having 7 corneal transplants, I also had to have open heart surgery. And one of the factors of my life is that I'm someone who, I mean, I'm somewhere in the universe, but wherever it is, it's a very, very, very small and isolated town. And I've never really had any real socialization with other people my own age for many different reasons. And I noticed that when I was a teenager, certain things weren't clicking. And after college or after university, I discovered that I too am very mildly yet definitely on the autism spectrum, and that I have a very, very, very mild yet definite case of Asperger's as well. So I completely understand the struggle that is, socially, the anxiety, the sense of something's always not quite right. And it's something that sort of hovers around, is the way I can describe it. So I kind of figured it out for myself that, well, I've kind of accepted that, maybe one of the factors of this particular syndrome that I have, maybe one of the factors is to be mildly Aspergery a little bit, So I totally understand it, totally get it. And it is incredibly frustrating. But what I've had to do in my own life is, go about my business as a teacher, talk to people every day, talk to people all over the world. Jessica, one of the greatest things that I've ever done is teach English online and create a podcast where I'm constantly having conversations and interacting and educating people. And it's enormously helped me. It's helped me massively to maintain my sense of calmness, my composure, my sanity, and my sense of contribution. So I am strongly looking forward to a first episode of Mrs. Chime. I really, really want you, and really hope that you'll be able to get into podcasting and have your own wonderful channel, because you're extremely articulate. What the other very endearing thing that I notice about you too is that you and Wayne have the same accent and the same way of talking. And I'm a guy from the East Coast, so I can tell you guys are Westerners from the Midwest of the country. Both of you have that same accent and the same way of talking that same kind of, as I explained to Wayne, a very annoying and a very abrasive and a very attractive way of talking that makes listeners want to listen to what you say. So I would gladly listen to your podcast, to which I would hope you would start uploading and start
I
getting in.
appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And yeah, no, I get it. It's incredibly frustrating. Luckily, I do not struggle with the arthritis issues, but my mother has issues in that department, along with my paternal grandmother, who is extremely old, upper 80s, I guess. And yeah, that arthritis, that really affects people. It affects your whole day. You know, it makes getting up even difficult. She's not exaggerating. I've noticed this with anyone who has profound arthritis. It really is something that affects people's lives immensely. So yeah. And the interesting story, if you want, and if you want me to be a little bit nosy, Chime Bear mentioned how you guys met. It's quite unusual. Do you want to tell our listeners the story of how you and Chime Bear met?
Sure. I was actually, when I first met him, I was living back at home with my mother after getting out of a bad friendship of another girl I was living with at the time. And I had moved back home with my mother for a while to kind of get back on my feet and get a job and kind of get myself reestablished and stabilized again. And I was just, trying to find, I didn't even know really what I was looking for at the time. I was trying to find someone to be with and someone who could relate and understand me and love me for myself as me. And I was just listening to different ASMR YouTube channels, and I saw his picture on his YouTube channel, thought he was really cute, and I knew he was married at the time, that kind of happened. And, things happened. And we just started talking at first, we were messaging back and forth and I would listen to his YouTube stuff all the time. And eventually got to more than just talking. We were first messaging, then we were talking on the phone, and then we started just saying I love you without even thinking about it, because it just fell into place that quick. And he ended up leaving his wife shortly after. Not too long after that, he moved to Betty and Chuck's out here, which is about maybe 15-20 minutes down the highway from us. So he was living with them for a while, and then he came to Illinois to get me. I'm from the Midwest. I was an hour outside of Chicago. He came to Illinois to get me and meet my family, and so he did that. We stayed in Illinois at the hotel by my mom's house for a week, and then we flew back here, and we stayed with Betty and Chuck for a couple of days till we got our apartment. Lived there about a year and a half. And, things just, were not working out there. We were fighting a lot. We were arguing. We were not in a good place. And mentally, it was just not fitting for us anymore. And this couple from church we heard about from our pastor out here recommended this house to us. And the couple offered it too. They, and it just, everything kind of fell into place, and we've been in a better place ever since. I mean, yes, we argue still, but is it as nearly as often? No. And all couples, I think, argue, of course. But, Wayne and I think we understand each other more because, again, we both come from abusive relationships. We both come from damaged families. We both come from divorced families. We have a lot in common. And our backgrounds are so similar, it's almost scary. So in that sense, it's almost like we both can understand and relate so much that it helps the relationship, because we understand where we don't want to be again and where we want to move from and go forward to.
So glad to hear that you're in a better place and you guys are happily living in your state there out in the western side of the country. So good. So good. Yeah. As for me, I'm a single guy. I live with my parents and my brother, and I've never been a social guy. I'm relatively happy with where I am in my own life, but I think that obviously I've been completely thrown off by 2020. I've been working since 2015, been employed. I've never been unemployed, thanks God for that. Been working since 2015, right after university. But I had a lot of different plans in 2020, and of course, all of them were crushed. So I've just had to kind of do the best I can with this year. But the year's almost over. It's Halloween. We just have basically 2 more months, and then we'll be done with the entire year, and then we can just hope for a stronger 21 or hope for a better year next. But I think that as for me, I'm more of right now I see myself as kind of an independent guy. Work from home, work for myself. I had a guide dog for 13 years. Love animals, love pets. Actually, my dream is to have a snake. I don't know if I ever told Wayne yet. Wait, I don't know if I mentioned that to Chime that my goal and dream is to have my own pet snake. So I'm kind of my own personality. I'm my own character. But I think a lot of people here on the channel will appreciate everything you said, and they would probably want to know. So if someone's watching this video, right, and maybe there's someone with a disability, and they want to know, well, they might want to know two things. Number one, if they want to reach out to someone and if they want to explore, having a healthy relationship with anyone, whether they're, regardless of who they are and who they prefer, whatever, what have you, whatever. What advice would you give them as far as, what's the one thing they should do to make sure they have like a successful and healthy relationship? And I mean it from the perspective of, coming at it from a blindness or coming at it with a disability. That's what I mean. What do you think? Yeah.
I would say work on yourself for a while first. I made that mistake. Like I said, I was in bad relationships before meeting Wayne, and I kind of lost my way for one. I had to kind of get a job and kind of focus on me for a while and kind of get my head back on straight. So, you need to do that first off. And then, you need to not only keep the other person in the relationship stable, but yourself at the same time. It's a constant give and take. Wayne and I sacrificed a lot to move out here. I left behind my family all back out, in the Midwest. They're all out there. They're eventually moving out this way, or so talks are being told. And then, if people tell you can't do something, that's one thing that has really kind of made me step out in my faith and kind of take the leap that I did, is when somebody tells me I can't do something, that makes me want to do it all the more. So when somebody says, oh, you're disabled, you can't do that, I don't take no for an answer. So, if somebody doesn't have faith in you, if they can't be there for support, and if they're not going to cheer you on, then you need to walk away and just kind of find your own way and forge your own path and kind of do your thing. If people care and love you enough and they want to support you, they will fall back in line, so to speak. They will, when it all comes down to it, if they really care, they'll be there. If not, they're lost. My dad and I were on really rough terms up until COVID slammed everybody, and nobody expected my dad, of all people, to get hit with COVID. I mean, I'm not really surprised now at this point, but it broke my father in some bad ways, but a lot more good ways. It taught him to be more caring and more patient, more understanding, and he's now fully disabled like me. And so the neurological damage he suffered from COVID, along with a lot of other damage, now he can relate and see how hard it is to function in the world I function in, and how hard it is for me to function day to day. So that, that helped in a lot of ways, because now I have somebody kind of more in my corner than I did before. It's just people are going to be judgmental about people with disabilities. It just, that's the way this world is. It's a very cruel world, unfortunately, the world we live in. And it's become even more cruel since COVID hit. It's just gone very dark. And it is very hard for people with Asperger's because of the anxiety and the, you want to hide away. You don't want to interact, but you kind of have to, because if you don't get out of that shell, you're trapped like an animal in the corner, so to speak. And that makes it even harder. And COVID doesn't have to be this world-ending thing. That, there can be a light in the darkness, so to speak, and you can use it to your advantage if you know how to. I'm still trying to find out that way, but we will find it eventually, I hope. But we go out when we have to, and if we don't, we stay in and we get everything delivered. We only go out as necessary. We're very careful, we're cautious, because again, my health issues put me at very high risk. Wayne, with his high blood pressure, that puts him at kind of a medium risk. So, people, they don't understand. The ADA is very kind of, I don't know what the right word is. They're kind of very ignorant. They don't seem to understand that there's so many disabilities across the board. They're very judgmental about, they tend to be dismissive, and they kind of tend to make up their own rules as to who is disabled enough or not disabled enough in their book, which, if you don't fit their parameters, you're not enough. And that, and I hope somehow, some way, someday to be an advocate for people like me and like Wayne, that, it's not a one size fits all. It's not like a pair of pants. You can't just slap a label on it and say, there you go, done. Like they've taken, Asperger's is not on the autism scale anymore. It's just called the autism scale now. The ADA has become so very rude and ignorant. We don't seem to fit their book or their planner or their world. This is the non-disabled world we live in, and we pretty much have to just suck it up and live in it according to their rules. We don't fit in society, and that's how the world looks at us. We're different. We're the quote unquote broken ones, and I hate that. I cannot stand that. I see the way people look at us all the time when we're out, and the way, it's like, it hurts, but at the same time, I've accepted now, because it's like, I've learned I just don't care anymore, because there's nothing you can do. And like I said, eventually I want to start advocating, because I don't want other people to walk through as much of the storm as we've had to walk through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, amen to that. I totally, for someone who thinks that, maybe other people judge you, you're awfully, you're an extremely, extremely effective public speaker, and you're an extremely good advocate. And my best advice to you is, please start a YouTube channel where you share your experiences. Please start Mrs. Chime, because I'll be a subscriber of yours any day, because everything you're saying is exactly right. Now, the ADA, okay, you were talking about the Americans with Disabilities Act, right?
Right.
Okay, that's an act. Simply to clarify for you at home, if you were a little confused, it's not a person, so it's not they. It's not a person. It's an act. It's a piece of legislation from the 90s, early 90s. Something that President Bush signed into law in the 90s, and it has become a bit old-fashioned, we would say, a bit old school, and really they need to just update the entire act to the standards of today's world. However, you are right. You definitely just can't, slap a label on someone. It's just not for our Canadian guys up in Canada, you'll love this expression. I'm just using it because I have great Canadian fans. You can't just slap a label on somebody and be like, okay, wham bam Bob's your uncle. Okay, you're disabled. No, it doesn't work like that. No, not at all, and it's not appropriate. And I completely agree with everything you've said about it. It is ridiculous that people and it's miraculously strange to me, Jessica, because Mrs. Chime, we live in arguably the greatest country on earth. Yet we also live in a country with an enormously high number of people who are incredibly ignorant and amazingly disrespectful. And I don't really understand that. Look, I've done a lot of traveling overseas, and I have found that people overseas, for the most part, are far kinder. Sure, there's ass wipes in every country, no question. Not even, I don't even have to debate that. There's an ass wipe in every country. Basically,
Right.
if there's a, I mean, no, there's problems. People are a problem in every country on the planet. But I've noticed that when it comes to disabilities, people in the European community are far kinder and are
Oh,
far.
yeah, even out here, like I've done counseling and therapy and stuff, and even my counselors are kind of fed up because they're like, well, it's not a one size fits all scale, like Asperger's and all that. It's not on the ADA scale anymore. It's just one label, done, one umbrella. That's how we look at it. Don't ask questions, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, kind of. They don't want to hear it. They don't like the disabled. They look at us like, and that's the way society, and I say this, and it hurts my feelings to really bad, but I've learned to just turn a blind eye, so to speak, to it, because I can't let it destroy my inner peace or Wayne's inner peace, because even though, people judge, they do. They judge, they point, they stare, they say whatever, I hear the comments, and I see the way people look at us, and it's like, to them, we don't fit. We're the people that don't fit in society's box, so to speak. Our label is broken or damaged or not good enough, or they're different, or how come they, or my family used to say this, and I have two other sisters. My family used to do the comparison thing. Why can't you be like them? Why can't you? Or when you're normal again sentence, and that would irritate me to no end. No end. And it's like, and that's the way society treats us. Like, well, when you're normal again, then you can re-enter society. Or when you're not broken anymore, you can re-enter society. It's like, no, you can't just flip a switch and undo this. You can't flip a switch and turn it off. I'm sorry. Like, you don't like me, tough. Like,
Yeah, yeah. You can't just, yeah, you're totally, it's just not as simple as you can't just flip a switch and say, okay, wham bam, Bob's your uncle, you're fine. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't. And society has just lost interest in being kind about it. Quite frankly, I think that it needs to be something that you need to address on YouTube. I think we need to be making more of these videos, and we need to be bringing this up more often. We need to talk about this more, is what I'm saying, because I
right. And
think this
I'm
is
tired of staying silent. I'm tired of being, everybody just says, well, keep your head down, keep your mouth shut. The less people hear, people don't want to hear about that. They don't want you talking about, it's like, I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. I'm tired of being the nice guy. I'm tired of being, walked on. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, and my advice to you is you're 100%, you're 100% in the right, and um what you need to do is create a YouTube channel where you I mean, I have an idea. You need to create a YouTube podcast where you not only interview other people with disabilities, but also in the interview give them help and give them advice on kind of like sort of counsel them in sort of a YouTube-ish way, kind of like that. There's got to be something that you can do, and I know there is,
Right.
for you to
Right.
be
And
able.
I just don't want to see the world break their spirits. I mean, I've had it done to me. I've been kicked like that. And I don't want to watch other people go through the ringer that we've had to go through. And it's not fun. It's not fair. And if I can save one person or at least lessen the amount of hurt that they're going to go through,
Yeah.
You know, people get mad tough, you know.
Right, right. Well, and here's my motto, here's my slogan. Help one person today, help a million people tomorrow. So all you need to do is help one person at a time. Aaron's opinion didn't start out like this with me doing these TV show things on YouTube. It starts out with me talking to myself into a recorder and talking and talking and talking and talking and answering questions and then getting guests and then having more ideas. So you have to kind of start in the shallow water and then you have to wade your way out to the deeper waters of broadcasting and podcasting before you get to this level where other people will be willing to subscribe to you and willing to listen, willing to listen to what you have to say, you know. So it's not it's these type the other important thing to remember to remember, Mrs. Chime, is that none of these things that you're talking about, you're 100% right about all of them, but fixing them is not something we can do between now and November 1st. It's not going to happen overnight.
No,
This is
I
this
agree.
is
I mean, it's
unfortunately, I think that, and I don't mean to scare you or piss you off or frustrate you or annoy you in any way, but I'm going to be pretty. I'm a pretty rough and blunt type of person. I'm going to be pretty direct with you. I think that this health crisis of our world, I think this will end up setting the disability community back at least 5 to 10 years. So
I would not
this
disagree there. I
this
mean,
is really not this is really bad, and I think this is really going to throw us off until for the rest of the decade, I think. So I wouldn't expect the normal life and normal changes for people with disabilities until I'm like 40 years old. Okay, I'm 29. So I'm not expecting things to change for another 11 years at least, which is scary. Now you're a few years older than me. Wayne's a few years older than you. So, I mean, this is pretty scary stuff, but we'll be older people. We'll be like old people by the time we get this fixed, which is
if it
why,
gets fixed at all, I mean,
well,
that's in the
we have really articulate people on YouTube like you and Wayne, who, by the way, are both of you have been incredibly kind to me. Both of you are incredibly kind people, knowledgeable people and willing people. And that's what YouTube needs. That's what our community of successful people needs to turn this country around and to really help people with disabilities.
yeah.
You're
It's
the
just
real
hard.
help.
Right. It's just hard because a lot of people want to silence people like us. It's like, I have one of my friends. He's also on the Asperger scale, but he is even more like I'm high function. But he even has told me, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down. You'll stay out of trouble that way. And it's like, okay, I can stay out of trouble so long and keep being nice to people. But what does being nice get me? You can be nice all you want, but what does it change? People are not going to give in to nice, suck up people. I hate to say that, but it's true. I mean, the government doesn't care about us being lovey-dovey and nice to them. They really don't care. They don't care about people like us. They don't. I mean, I thought the world was dark and mean before, but now COVID, I mean, all these, you can't even say all lives matter. It offends people. No matter what you're saying, where somebody gets pissed, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets offended. I mean, this world is so dark. It's like the hope is just gone. Like, we can't even come together. We're all wearing masks, People keep saying, well, I don't want to wear masks, but if we wear masks, somebody else gets offended. There's so much hate and division and anger and violence. It just makes me sick every day. Like, I don't even want to leave my house because it's like, I don't want to be outside in this world because it's like, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to take that on.
So don't be a part of that then. So just be you, be Mrs. Chime, be on YouTube, educate people, and leave those other people in the dust. Because if we don't, and if we learn nothing else from this crisis, it's that I suspect and I think, and I know you'll agree, that our country has some serious, serious problems that we need to fix. And we need to make the most of this time right now to figure out what these problems are and to fix them.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're going to another war. I mean,
We
it
are,
just,
we basically are. We basically are transitioning to some other thing. And, and I understand that you feel anxious about the election on Tuesday. So don't worry. Know that every 4 years we keep electing leader after leader.
I mean, it's just sad to see that these two, I mean, I don't know, I'll put it nicely, these two morons, that they're our best hope. It is sad to say neither
It
one of
is.
them, I don't respect either one. I don't like either one of them. I do respect Biden's values more than Trump's, but I don't like either one of them. They both are very mean, nasty guys. They're both very condescending. They're both very inappropriate with each other and with the country. I mean, it's like, that's our best hope. That's what's going to save us. Like, neither one are a good choice at this point, because no matter what we do, we're screwed. And, it's sad to see that that's how far down our world has gone, into the dark hole. It's like, people keep trying to put God back into things, and he just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed farther and farther down. And I think he's up there crying right now, going, this is not why I put you people down here. This is not why I made the earth. This is not why I created this. Like, he's up there shaking his head. I know he's ashamed of us, going, what are you doing? You're ruining what I created. Like this. I mean, people keep saying there's two worlds, there's two afterlives. There's heaven and then there's hell. And I keep telling people this, and I know it's going to make some people very upset, but I feel like we are already in hell. Like, this is our nightmare coming to life right in front of our eyes. And it's scary that this is a dark, horrid world we have to live in. Like, if I could choose to go home to heaven now, I would do it. If God took me tomorrow, I'd be happy to go, because I'm sick and tired of this darkness. I'm sick and tired of the hatred. It's got to stop. I mean, what else is it going to take to break this hatred and this, demonic stuff, to get us to all come together? I mean, that's what our country is. The U.S., meaning us as a whole. There is no U.S. anymore.
I don't know. I was talking to someone else on my video, my upload from yesterday, and he was saying how he only votes for his local leaders because he's so fed up with the national level, But my advice is that this is why YouTube needs great content creators like us, because this is the only chance that we have to fix the issues in the blindness community and the disability community, is to come here to this platform, this global platform of YouTube, and just try to educate. Just remember, help one person today, you'll help a million others tomorrow. And that's the only positive thing I can tell you. Is you're right. Yeah.
We have to, in a way, save ourselves. I mean, it's like when they tell you on an airplane, when you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, if you don't save yourself, how can you save anybody else?
Right.
If we don't start saving each other, we are going to sink like the Titanic. I hate to say it, but our world is sinking. We are drowning ourselves, and people are just too ignorant or, whatever, to pay attention and go, what are we doing? Why are we even fighting each other when we should just be helping each other?
I don't know. So on a brighter topic. So, I mean, what are some hobbies, or what are some ways that you like to, spend your time? And how much do you help Chime Bear with his uploads? How much of a secret influence do you have on his channel? We've been wanting to know.
I have been on a couple of his episodes, or a couple of his podcasts, and we're planning on doing more, and I've helped him come up with the ideas. He actually was the one, when he was doing the Wayne and Amy series, I related to that a lot, and I've told him that is basically me in a nutshell. So, I mean, yeah, I give him a lot of the ideas, and I give him a lot of support, and I have been buying him on an awful lot of the stuff he uses to do his podcasting. So, I mean, I cheer him on when he does it. You know, I am happy to help be an advocate with him, and you know, so yeah, I'm a kind of behind the scenes support, if you will.
So when are we going to hear? Well, for one thing, when are we going to include Aaron's opinion on some of Chime Bear's content? Because
I definitely think that's another idea we should do soon. I will recommend that to him. I do think I think if the three of us come together and do kind of a multi thing, I think it would be a very good advocacy thing. I think it would be getting our voices out there, getting the message out there.
I would be, and the offer goes both ways. I would be honored to have both of you on my show all at once. You guys, I mean, you know, considering, as far as I'm concerned, considering that you two are married, right?
Right.
Okay, that's helpful. So you guys can even sit next to each other, and then we can do a full hour-long show with three people on one call with just you guys on one microphone. That works.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good advocacy thing and get people to understand that there's more to life. You know, yes, we're disabled. Yes, we both have different disabilities.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't still live a full life. You know, you can't let society put you in a box. You can't let them tell you, you know, you're disabled, so you can't ever function. You can't do anything, you know, and that makes me want to do it all the more. Like I said, you know, I don't let society put a mark on me anymore. I don't let them say, you know, this is as far as you go. That's it. I don't have a line drawn, you know, and Wayne doesn't let that happen either. And we both advocate for that. And we tell people, you know, disabled or not, you're still here. You're still going, you know, that's what matters. You know, you don't get to let society decide where your life goes or where it stops. You know, sky's the limit, so to speak. You know, society shouldn't be the judge. You are. You're in control.
Well, I'm determined, as I tell every guest, and you'd be surprised, a lot of guests come and go, and maybe, you know, it's understandable, maybe don't take me seriously all the time, but I promise you that I support what you guys are doing on YouTube, and I would be honored to help you. Really would. I would love to have a series. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Since I just taught myself how to create playlists on YouTube, we're going to have a challenge. We're going to do a series where the three of us record at least three hours of content, at least 3 to 6 hours of serious content, where we all basically educate the world about how everything has been all over the world and in our lives. And then I will create a playlist, and then I will tweet out that playlist, and it will be a compilation playlist with like 3 or 4 or maybe 6 different episodes, all including all three of us. And then the other thing that I'm equally interested in doing is doing more, you know, in the voice acting and helping, you know, Chime Bear produce some content, some of his entertaining content for him, and doing some acting for him. I would be equally entertained to help.
I think he would really appreciate that. I will mention that to him.
Yeah, well, good. Well, I know you don't have to find his number or walk very far to talk to him. So.
Exactly.
So, well, I on that note, I just want to say, you know, obviously you don't know me well at all. I'm sure you actually have a lot of questions for me. What are some of your most pressing questions that you want to ask? Sure, ask me anything. Go.
I'm glad, you know, you can understand the disabled community. You know, you and I, Wayne, relate a lot. Yes, I know I'm not blind like you two, but the fact that you can understand so much and be at our level is such a good thing. I mean, we and I need more people like you in our lives, and, you know, the support, you know, emotionally, mentally.
That's about the kind of, I gotta say, you're so sweet. Both of you, I noticed it before talking to Wayne. You two are so kind. You two are just the kindest people, really. Nobody has ever actually said that to me. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That was so sweet, really. You two are just so kind. You guys are so kind. I would talk to you. I would talk to you any day, whether I'm recording or not. Actually, I would want to record just for the fun of making a video. But either way,
Right.
I would talk to you two, you kind people, any day, because we need people who are just really nice people, and both of you are.
Yeah, I mean, the kindness goes further than the anger and the hatred and the darkness does. I mean, it just, if you let the kindness and if you let the darkness take over, we're gonna lose. I mean, there is nothing left. I mean, and
Right.
our faith keeps us going. We keep each other going. If we didn't have each other, I don't even want to think about where we'd be. And you know, like I said, I have my gaming, I have my crafting that I do and stuff. But I mean, and we like to bake, and we like, making different meals throughout the week and stuff. We do different things, and I have other friends I talk to and stuff, and so does he, and we have, our friends on WhatsApp. So, I mean, we have a lot of different things we do throughout the day, and, people we talk to, and it's something to grasp onto and hold on to with the way our world is spinning and going. At least it's something solid. At least it's something we know that's stable.
Yeah.
And to have people disabled, whatever, and people can judge whatever, I don't care, but we have to hold on to each other. We have to keep each other going. If we don't do that, we're lost. We're done. Game over, so to speak. There is nothing else. That's it. Kindness, it relates more to people, and people understand it just creates peace, and it lowers the amount of toxicity and and that's why I try to be kind to people as often and as much as I can, because maybe it can change some people and make them turn around and go, what am I doing? Like, I want to lower the amount of hate and negativity in this world. I don't want to leave this world dark when I'm gone.
Yep. Well, guys, I mean, that's all the questions that I have. Do you have any final questions?
Actually,
Anything?
not that I can think of, no.
Well, that is totally fine. I will certainly add you to our WhatsApp group. I'll send you back the video. I'll get it published and get it set up. We will talk later, as always, about planning our next recording. But
All
anyway,
right,
guys.
thank you, and
But anyway,
I look forward to it.
me too. Me too. Me too. I hope you guys listened to everything Mrs. Chime told you, because she said a lot of really, really good information that you might want to remember. Remember, if you want to reach out to me and tell me that I'm a horrible person who's deemed to hell, you're more than welcome to do so by emailing me, free of charge, by the way, at aaronsopinion6@gmail.com. Or, of course, nobody ever does that, though. So that must mean that I'm a great person. So you can email great people like me at aaronsopinion6@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Patreon, follow us on YouTube, and I would like to thank Mrs. Chime. Really was an honor. Definitely an unusual conversation, definitely educational, definitely serious, and I'm glad we had it on the channel. All right? All right, everybody. Well, as I said before, have have a very safe and happy Halloween to you all from around the world. Mrs. Chime, it was a pleasure.
Thanks again.
Remember, we know that things might be difficult, but just do one thing. Help one person today, help a million people tomorrow.